WWE has long had global reach in historic places like this cultural centerpiece. But in recent years, the love of WWE beyond American borders has spiked to unprecedented levels of passion. Nowhere is that more evident than on these European tours. Today, the northwest corner of Italy, the home of Da Vinci Works, puts forth a masterpiece of a card. And not just Italian fans ready to roar, but an event that's become a pilgrimage. In the sweltering, sun-soaked Italian afternoon, thousands and thousands and thousands of fans have been out here for hours. This is the plaza outside Analpi Arena in Torino, Italy, as we welcome you to Countdown to Clash in Italy, presented by Cricket. And by now, you know the Euro soccer chants. You know the level of engagement. You know the European WWE fans take things to a different level. Well, take it in, because Italy has raised the bar, and they're doing it 2 hours before Clash in Italy arrives. Imagine college game day with better espresso. Look at this. Listen to it. Take it all in. And these Italian fans are going to be doing the Oma strut. The massive ruler has arrived at Turin. He does so for what many are calling the greatest rematch in history. Oma was shockingly attacked by a thought-to-be retired Brock Lesnar, and now he has to tame the beast today. And the undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes has made it to Italy, and he's taken on the toughest of challenges. Gunther has been a wrecking machine with the sleeper hold. Will that bring Gunther the most prized possession in the industry? They are roaring, they are singing, they are ready. It is time for Clash in Italy.
This city, born from history, has played host to the bold, and today, for the first time ever, this stage is ours.
This is an historic moment. Oh my God! What the hell? It's the Beast! It seems rumors of his demise have been greatly exaggerated. F5 from Brock Lesnar!
In this ring, Jacob, you're beneath me.
Tribal combat!
I will happily beat you again.
This will be my title.
Not only will I kick your ass, I'll snatch your soul.
Here we go! Tall snatcher! I don't sweat you! Come and get it! This is what we call must-see! Yarami! The biggest rematch in history!
Today, we share a stage in a country where masterpieces are made. Today, we clash in Italy.
This is the scene live right here behind our set for the Countdown Show. And for the next 2 hours, we will capture, catch this wave of energy that these fans in Turin, Italy have created. The plaza outside the sports arena, now the hub of anticipation. Mommy has come to Italy to defend here. The Eradicator, Rhea Bloody Ripley, who grew up in Australia, by the way, as close as could be with her Nona, who immigrated from here in Italy. Danger's on the way. Jade Cargill is out to get Rhea. The recently dethroned champ gets her rematch. She has been on a tear of violence leading up to this. And this premium live event could be a breakthrough moment for an emerging rookie. Sol Ruca is stepping up against one of the greatest of all time. The Intercontinental Clash against Becky Lynch comes your way in just a few hours. As we say, good afternoon and welcome. Glad you're with us for the Countdown Show here, the Clash in Italy. I'm Joe Tessitore, thrilled to be with us for this wild afternoon right here on ESPN for the next 2 hours. Of course, everything is available on the ESPN app. And the first hour of Clash in Italy with the championship match with Cody Rhodes will be on ESPN as well. Welcome here, Big E, Corey Graves, who did an outstanding job last night with AAA. We'll touch on that a little later on. And Peter Rosenberg, who's already a crowd favorite, isn't he, Peter Rosenberg here?
I didn't know they had such appreciation for a good bald man here in Italy.
They love their hair, and then you're an outlier. Hey, many are saying that this Clash in Italy card is at a WrestleMania level when you look at these 5 matches, Big E, and you see them on paper.
It's absolutely stacked with star power. I can't believe we're getting Ova and Brock again. This thing we got Gunther and Cody. We have so many future Hall of Famers and legends on this card. It is absolutely stacked.
Plus, we get to witness tribal combat. And if you can believe it or not, the implications of this match go beyond the World Heavyweight Championship currently held by Roman Reigns. This thing could have implications felt throughout the Anoa'i family for generations to come. Tribal combat will finally settle the score. 100%, and you talk about Jacob Fatu, what an unbelievable opportunity, and the pressure on Jacob if he's not able to get it done this time.
You know, this has been a very interesting year in WWE because it really has been a year of new emerging stars mixed with so many that are at the championship level. And let's give you full coverage of that with our all-star dynamic duo. Kathy Kelly and Byron Saxton are with us here in Italy today. Kathy, I want to start with you with the latest on Oba Femi, the big man who now faces by far the most dangerous moment of his young career.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, Oba Femi, looking back to WrestleMania 42, accomplished something that a lot of people thought was impossible in beating Brock Lesnar at his very first WrestleMania. And while that was a massive win for Oba, it was confirmation of what he believed he was capable of since his very first day in WWE, that Oba Femi was inevitable. I spoke to sources close to Oba, and they said that he finds it respectful of what Brock Lesnar has accomplished throughout his entire WWE career, but he finds it disrespectful that the Beast Incarnate would return after unlacing his boots and getting back in the ring. Now, I feel like Oba has this massive life-changing opportunity this evening because beating Brock Lesnar once is a moment, but beating Brock Lesnar twice is a career-altering moment.
Well, Kathy, from that super heavyweight match to the undisputed WWE Championship match between Cody Rhodes and Gunther, we have to wonder if some of those verbal barbs they traded back and forth on SmackDown will carry over into tonight. For example, when Cody looked at Gunther dead in the eye and said, "You're just not that good," supplemented with the fact that Cody's already had Gunther's number in the past. Or how about Gunther, who reminded everyone that he has executed every promise he laid out there. He promised to choke out Bill Goldberg. He did it. He promised to choke out AJ Styles. He did it. He promised to choke out Cody's hero, John Cena, and he did it. And Gunther has promised to do the same thing here tonight. So both these men have some serious thought-provoking topics to marinate on, which could in fact affect their game plan and their performance tonight.
No doubt about it, Byron. Let's remind you of what happened the only other time that they met up. Cody Rhodes defeated Gunther back at Crown Jewel when they were both champions. That was back in November of 2024. So, Corey, this just the second meeting ever between these two.
And this is a fact that Cody Rhodes has not forgotten, that he was able to sneak past the ring general in that moment in Saudi Arabia. Gunther has been looking at this date with it circled on the calendar. Gunther is finally ready to take what he believes has been his since he arrived in WWE. Cody Rhodes' most prized possession.
But Braves, you put it the right way. He snuck past Gunther. He didn't dominate Gunther. I'm not buying what Cody is selling. Look, this is one of the stiffest tests that Cody Rhodes has ever faced here tonight.
And you see the limited roster of men who have defeated Gunther. He is one of the toughest outs in all of the industry. I caught up with Cody Rhodes. Here's what he had to say.
Cody, I want to go back to WrestleMania in Vegas, following your title defense with Randy Orton, the aftermath that happened. You were viciously attacked. That punt kick was brutal.
No!
Take me through the wave of emotions in dealing with all of that.
What I would say is everything you needed to know about me happens after. I got up and I walked and I tried to make eye contact with as many people as I could and let them know two things. Still the champ, still here. And if that's Randy Orton's best shot and Randy Orton was at his best ever, what does that say? I don't mean this with arrogance. I'll be forthcoming and say, I'm pretty lucky. And I don't know how much more luck I have, you know?
Following WrestleMania, you had to spend time with your family, and that was, I assume, a very good thing to be with Brandi and your daughters. How much so?
Yes, I get to spend more time with them, and yes, I needed the time. There's no healing like the healing that you get at home. But history repeats itself. And I recall my father talking about having to walk around the house with his face all busted up and see his children. Nothing can prepare you for a 4-year-old asking you what happened to your face. For a 4-year-old asking you, are you gonna be okay? Nothing did prepare me. And I, again, just hope I hope it's not a regular conversation.
How important was it for you to return as quickly as you could and to reestablish yourself as QB1 of this industry?
It felt very important. If anything, and maybe the thing I've learned that QB1 is the most, is consistent. All the QB1s before me were consistent. They were week in and week out. And now there's all these jokes about how I've really tried to follow the John Cena model. And I don't mind those jokes at all, because that's a hell of a model. I left WrestleMania, and I even said that to CM Punk, and it was a mistake to say it, that I didn't feel so much like a winner, and I had been. And I need those challengers. I need them. I'm addicted to the top spot. I'm not afraid to tell anybody that.
The version of you that came back that was medically cleared seems like it has more fight in that guy. How so?
You know, it's been 10 years since I had left WWE in the first place. It's been nothing but a gift to me to not only make the right decisions and not only do the right things in front of the audience, but also make the mistakes. But that's not a character. It's my life. And this has become my life. So if you need a little more edge, you need a little more grit, that's what Gunther gets.
By the way, it was fascinating on Friday night at SmackDown when they had their final face-off to hear Gunther and Cody go back and forth. Gunther talking about every opportunity Cody ever had. It was just one phone call away. But let's get into that conversation on the Cody side and how he approaches things and how he views himself, especially at this phase of his career. Because he says he reflects on things and he says maybe my last name opened doors, but it also puts a target on my back, getting the title, and it hasn't stopped me.
Not at all. Cody is someone, look, he may have been able to pick up the phone and call people in the office, but look, we can also, he talked about a decade ago, leaving this company, having to reinvent himself. He had to do the work. Cody had to put himself through that fire of going through the independent scene to come back to WWE to be this version. But he's also in the ring. He talked about Gunther being 330 pounds, working on the indies. This is also a more refined, a more focused, a more intense version of Gunther. I'm really excited for this matchup, but I think this is a version of Gunther who is primed for this moment.
Let me ask you a question, Graves. Am I crazy, though, when you talk about the target on Cody's back? Am I crazy to think in some ways he puts the target on his own back? It's almost like Cody doesn't feel happy unless he has the most dangerous foe in front of him every single time.
You're not wrong at all, and I don't know if there's a superstar on the roster who feeds off of the live crowd and is energized by them quite like the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. Conversely, you've got the ring general Gunther, who is downright surgical. He is calculated, he is borderline emotionless. This is gonna be an interesting class psychologically, when you've got Cody putting his gold on the line against a man who has literally built himself into the perfect pro wrestling machine, that being Gunther.
What's your read on your own question you asked?
Honestly, every time I see Cody, he's always worse for the wear. There's always an eye, there's a back, there's something, and when you ask him, how are you? It's always, I'm gonna be all right, I'm gonna get there, every time. And then there's always another match, and it gets worse. The man's bravery, I worry, will just get himself in trouble sometimes.
Want to remind everybody, this is going to be the very first match of Clash in Italy. Of course, streaming all day on the ESPN app, but the very first hour will be right here on ESPN. It is for the undisputed WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes going up against the career killer Gunther. By the way, a very interesting reaction from these thousands of fans here every time they either see Cody or Gunther. We'll monitor that all day. We're going to continue on here with the countdown to Clash in Italy. We will take you right up until that first match at 2 o'clock right here. And, of course, so much to discuss with Tribal Combat. Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns going at it. And the Intercontinental Championship is on the line. Becky Lynch looking to defend against Sol Ruca.
Well, she seems to be a bit of a troublemaker. I call her rabble-rouser Ruca. I still don't understand why I'm being punished.
Well, as for the woman that Becky Lynch is discussing, what do you say we bring her right up here to the Countdown Show? Don't go anywhere. When we come back, it is the title-seeking Sol Ruca live from Italy. Welcome back to this incredible scene here in Turin, Italy. This is the countdown to Clash in Italy. Remember, Clash in Italy will begin promptly at 2 p.m. Eastern. And during Clash in Italy, Becky Lynch, who beat AJ Lee at WrestleMania 42 to gain back the Intercontinental Championship, will defend against the rising breakout star, the wildly popular Sol Ruca. And Becky Lynch has had plenty to say on social media. A mean tweet avalanche from Rebecca Quinn, as you see on her X.com post. And recently, Becky Lynch, the IC champion, sat down with Corey Graves.
Becky, if you'd be so kind as to indulge me, I'd like to start by taking it back to WrestleMania, when you made history once again by capturing that Intercontinental Championship for a third time. I need to ask you, what did it feel like in the moment, and what does it feel like having the championship across your shoulder once again?
It was incredible. It was an incredible evening. Recaptured my title, though I never really lost it, because it was stolen from me, biased referees all around the place. The title is back where it belongs, where it will stay. We're all very happy about that.
Now, the night after WrestleMania, traditionally, the roster gets a bit of a refresh. We see a lot of new faces, and this year was no different. We saw the arrival of one name in particular who seems to have drawn the ire of Becky Lynch, that being Sol Ruca. What is it about Sol that rubbed you the wrong way?
Well, she seems to be a bit of a troublemaker. I call her rabble-rouser Ruca. She has a whole contract signing to announce her place here. Why is that done in the ring? And then I go out there because it was supposed to be my celebration after all the history that I made. And instead, she's out there in the ring taking my time slot. And I go out there to simply have a little polite word with Adam Pearce. And instead, she confronts me. And it causes me to make contact with Adam Pearce's face. And she attacks me for no reason, absolutely no reason. So that's why she rubs me the wrong way.
Well, you had the opportunity to go one-on-one with Sol Ruca at Saturday night's main event, and some people are saying that you panicked and didn't want to lose to a quote-unquote rookie.
I had her dead to rights. She was dead to rights. I saw her going for a move. I tried to pull Jessica Carr out of the way. She was very reluctant, and she ended up hitting Jessica Carr. I got out of the way. I was disqualified for no reason, even though I wasn't the one that hit Jessica Carr. I was walking up the ramp, and I see her go back to pick the bones. I saw her foaming at the mouth, and I ran in there like the hero that I am, even though I don't like Jessica Carr. And I saved her, and I made sure that Sol Ruca couldn't get back up again. I still don't understand why I'm being punished.
To that point, Sol Ruca was offered an Intercontinental Championship match.
This is a level of corruption unseen before.
On paper, this is an extremely daunting challenge for Sol Ruca. It's her first singles match on a WWE PLE. It's being held in international territory, and it's for the Intercontinental Championship, where she will stand across the ring from one of the greatest champions in WWE history. What can we expect at Clash in Italy?
That Sol Ruca is not ready. Who is this rookie Ruca? She's bitten off more than she can chew. I think she'll be very embarrassed. I think she'll run home to America. I'll stay in Europe. I'll celebrate with my family. I'll snuggle up next to my Intercontinental Championship and enjoy my time as champion, because I've earned it. I deserve it. I'm the greatest female wrestler of all time, and she's not, and she doesn't deserve to be in the ring with me.
Well, she'll be in the ring later, but right now she's here live on Countdown to Clash in Italy. Sol, great to have you with us. Welcome. I know this is a really big moment in the stages in your career. By the way, they love you already.
I know. I'm so honored to be here with you all. This is so cool. This is so cool.
It was interesting to hear before in our commercial break, the singing, the cantare going on for you immediately. They're going to start up again. What is your response to when you hear Becky Lynch say you're not ready?
Honestly, it just makes me laugh a little bit, because she doesn't know. She doesn't know my story. She doesn't know exactly all the stuff that I've been through since I started in gymnastics until I got here. She doesn't know my story. She doesn't know what I'm capable of. And like I said before, one thing about me is I'm damn good at proving people wrong, and that's exactly what I'm going to do today.
So I know there were some recent concerns about your health. How are you feeling right now?
I am doing great. I showed up today. I was not medically cleared, but I came in, went to the doctor's office, and they cleared me, and I'm ready to go, and that's all that matters.
Does that not put a little bit of extra doubt into your mind, knowing that just this morning you weren't medically cleared and now you're going to step in the ring against one of the greatest to ever do it?
No, I mean, our medical staff here, they know their stuff. They make sure that they take care of us, and they say I'm cleared. I'm cleared. I'm ready to go.
So how about just the overall experience? I mean, as we talked about, you are a rookie. This is a huge moment for you. You were in NXT where you killed it recently, and now here you are on a European tour with WWE in a PLE in Turin, Italy, in front of these fans.
Rosenberg will never miss the opportunity for a cheap pop.
What? Thank you, Greg. Seriously though, what does that feel like for you? Just take it in the moment.
It's honestly incredible. It's crazy to think that I've only been doing this for about 4 years, and I'm already facing some of the greatest women in this division, going against Liv Morgan, Io Sky, which was my dream opponent since I started. You know, now getting in the ring with Becky Lynch, who is a 3-time Women's Intercontinental Champion. It's absolutely incredible to know that I have what it takes to step up to these women, and I have what it takes to prove myself and prove that I do belong here.
So you have what it takes because you have one of the most dynamic singular weapons in the game right now, and that is hitting the Soul Snatcher.
Yes.
Now, we know what happened at Saturday night's main event. We saw the footage. We can show you again here with what happened there in what was a non-title match, and because of the way that finished, when going for the Soul Snatcher, all of a sudden Jessica Carr, the referee, was pulled into the way. What did you learn from this experience, and how does that get you set now to attack Becky Lynch?
Man, I just learned that Becky is willing to do whatever it takes, even, you know, involving someone who's not even wrestling in the match to get the victory. She's willing to do whatever it takes. But one thing about me is, like, I grew up surfing, so I'm used to, you know, getting into the unexpected, into the deep waters and the ever-changing waters, and I think that I'm pretty good at thinking on my feet, and maybe that was just a little bit of a slight for me on Saturday night's main event, but, you know, now I know that Becky's willing to do whatever, and, you know, I'm willing to do whatever to become the new Women's Intercontinental Champion.
The question is Sol Ruca willing to do whatever it takes to leave Italy with the Intercontinental Champion?
Absolutely.
So that is Sol Ruca. She will be going for it today. A lot of firsts here. First time in Italy, first time in Europe as a whole, first time a PLE going after a title. It is coming your way on Clash in Italy, the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Becky Lynch, Sol Ruca. So thank you very much. Best of luck today. We will see how things play out with the Women's Intercontinental Championship set to come your way. Of course, gold is on the line elsewhere today in Turin, Italy, right here on ESPN, because we have the World Heavyweight Championship willing to defend and willing to do it by way of Tribal Chief. The reaction you get simply by showing the locker room of Roman Reigns.
Huh? You thought that I wasn't coming? Hell no! Hey, Jacob Fatu is live and direct in Clash in Italy. Hey, Roman, I'm gonna put it in the air where it's fair. Today, it's tribal combat. No rules, no excuses. And for sure, ain't no way in hell that you walking out tonight with that title around your waist. Roman, Jacob Fatu is the gladiator that will take down the Roman Empire. And if you ain't know, Jacob Fatu is all gas, no brakes with it. You know what I mean? Fire!
That gives you a sense of the level of intensity we are all dealing with Jacob Fatu, the Samoan werewolf, who will be facing his cousin, Roman Reigns. Not just the World Heavyweight Championship, which would be big enough, but Tribal Combat. Who will be the Tribal Chief? Who will lead the family? Well, the guy who leads our broadcast family, as they like to say here in Italy, Il Migliore, the very best, Michael Cole. Good afternoon, Michael. I hope you're ready for this crowd.
Good afternoon, Joe. I cannot wait. It is going to be electric tonight. And you mentioned Tribal Combat. This is one of the most rare matches in WWE. It is a matchup that is personal, it is barbaric, it is extremely emotional because it involves the lineage of the Anoa'i family. There's only been 2 Tribal Combat matches in history, both won by Roman Reigns. I had the opportunity to sit at ringside and call both of those matches. It's no holds barred, extremely brutal. You only win via pinfall or submission. Jacob Fatu had a trump card. Fatu played it. He knew if he challenged Roman Reigns to tribal combat, the OTC could not turn him down. It's the old rule of the jungle. The alpha male challenged by the up-and-coming young gun. So it will happen tonight. The question is, who will be the World Heavyweight Champion? And who will have to acknowledge the Tribal Chief?
Two Samoan warriors, bound by blood, torn apart by ambition. To a bloodline revered for decades of dominance, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, is the unwavering pillar of the Anoa'i family. But leadership comes with a price. Chaos emerged. Now the time has come to decisively define the family's future.
This is tribal combat. There are no rules. You win via pinfall or submission. And the winner becomes the Tribal Chief.
Standing outside the locker room of the World Heavyweight Champion, Roman Reigns. When it comes to tribal combat, it almost felt like this match has become a home game for the OTC. But then you talk to some folks here in the backstage area, some notable names, and you get a different feel about tonight. I'm not sure if it's the body language of Roman Reigns. I'm not sure if it's the fact that Roman acknowledged this past Monday on Raw that if Jacob Fatu wins, Raw's going to be in serious trouble. So tonight feels less like a home game and more like a must-win or else. And the or else could be something this company as a whole isn't prepared to handle. Back to you guys on the panel.
Very true, Byron. You know, we were having this conversation the other day in our production meeting. We all get together. This crowd absolutely cannot stop. Every time you mention Roman Reigns, anything Roman Reigns, the fans here in Italy go absolutely crazy. We were having this conversation the other day, Big E, and I want everybody's thoughts on this. It would be an incredible headline maker of a PLE if it was just the World Heavyweight Championship. Tribal combat elevates things to a level unknown. The last time we had tribal, it wasn't gold on the line. It was just tribal combat, and it was still that big.
We're talking potentially about a whole reordering of what this company looks like. Not only would Roman Reigns no longer be a world champion, but the head of the table is now Jacob Fatu. And we've seen Roman's impact on the Fatu family, on the Anoa'i family, on what he has done in this industry the last 6 years has truly been remarkable. If Jacob Fatu takes his place, this whole situation we're sitting in right now looks completely different.
And it's even bigger than WWE. It goes beyond WWE. It affects the Anoa'i family dynasty, the lineage. You said the head of the table. There is truth to that. Roman Reigns is relied upon by his entire family to provide opportunities when applicable, to help elevate the entire family. That's what the seat at the head of the table means to Roman Reigns, beyond just being World Heavyweight Champion. You take him out, you put the Samoan werewolf at the head of the table. God forbid we see what WWE looks like, let alone the Anoa'i family. He could tear the entire family apart. And imagine Roman having to go home and look at his beautiful wife and look at his beautiful children and say, I had it all. I was the head of the table. You had preferential treatment for the rest of your life, and I let it fall through my fingers. That's what's at stake tonight for Roman Reigns.
This is why WWE is frankly the greatest show in the world, because not only do we have what happens in the ring and how much we love that, it's the real life stories that make this thing so epic. And the real life history that goes back forever between Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu cannot be described here in a quick segment on the Countdown Show. Like you guys both just beautifully stated, this is very real for this family. And if Jacob Fatu wins tonight, we are looking at history for the ages. And on the flip side, if he loses, what's next for Jacob Fatu? Will he be working for Roman Reigns?
You know, we opened up this show discussing the global reach of WWE and how it has now become at a fever pitch from what is happening in Italy to what you saw in Vegas and WrestleMania. And folks, last night in Mexico, they are already saying it is an instant classic, Corey Graves.
Noche de los Grandes, the highest stakes possible in Lucha Libre, mask versus mask. the original El Grande Americano one-on-one with El Grande Americano. This Americano, the original, has been detested in Mexico for months and months, and off of the opening bell, it was chaos. The type of chaos and action that has defined AAA for 3 decades plus. There was outside interference from Julio and Bruno Los Credos. We would see the arrival of Rayo and Bravo Americano coming to the aid of El Grande Americano. And toward the closing moments, several ghosts from the recent past of the original would come back to haunt him. That is legendary Exotico Pimpinela Escarlata coming to drive a guitar across the face of the original. 2 world-class technicians doing battle for the right to be called the one and only. And we would finally have our answer as we see El Grande Americano's leg give out, seemingly signaling the beginning of the end, but as the original looked to close the door once and for all, an amazing rally fueled by the Mexican fans at an absolute fever pitch would drive Americano to deliver the diving headbutt and become the one and only El Grande Americano.
Rosenberg, we watched this thing together. We were moved. Truly, match of the year contender. This whole build-up has been incredible. To see Chad Gable, which I know a lot of us were shocked by, to see Chad Gable under that mask. Hats off to that man for everything he did.
It truly was, and Grace, congratulations to you and the broadcasters as well.
Absolutely.
One of the most unbelievable shows you'll ever see if you have not seen it yet. That match is art. That is literally why we fell in love with pro wrestling, because of what the Americanos did last night.
I was scrolling through social media, and it was hilarious to me to see how many grown men were saying, "I had tears in my eyes." It was such a special, beautiful, poetic moment. If you think pro wrestling can't be beautiful, watch Mask versus Mask. It was incredible.
Look, we got it all. We got a mariachi band, we got a love story, we got violence, we got guitar shots. What more could you ask for?
And by the way, folks, and I know we're going on and on, it is worthy of this. First, I saw you this morning. I said, that completely over-delivered. So if you want to experience that, we invite you to go to the WWE's YouTube channel, and you can watch back AAA Mask versus Mask. Gentlemen, bravo. You were both sensational last night. That was an all-time throw. Or 4 a.m. here in Italy, as many of us were watching it. Still to come here on this countdown to Clash in Italy. Jade Cargill, Rhea Ripley. Will we see that scene repeat itself? Plus, they are saying it's the greatest rematch in history. Brock Lesnar's return.
Oh my God! It's the Beast! F5 for Brock Lesnar! Total Femi!
Torino, we promised you superstars. How about one of the biggest of all? The WWE Women's World Champion, Liv Morgan, live from Italy. Next.
With Club WWE, you're at the front of the line every time. You'll be notified of merchandise drops before anyone else and given your own personal early access, including exclusive merchandise like my Never Seen 17 collection. Plus, you'll receive discounts on purchases. This is the epicenter of fandom. This is Club WWE.
谁敢心跳吧？猛兽回来了，克莱斯纳不会吧
Brock Lesnar! Sunshine and fire! Sunshine!
Let's start on speedon!
Huilletes! Kid F5!
Brock Lesnar si carica Oba Femi ed esegue la F5!
Mamma mia, che ritorno ragazzi! Che colpo di scena!
Those were the international calls of the shocking moment of the return of Brock Lesnar on May 18th, hitting the 4 F5s on Oba Femi. And now, one of the best tale of the tapes you will ever see. Oba Femi, Brock Lesnar, today at Clash. Here is Brock in his own words.
I didn't quite get the chance to congratulate you last week on your big victory over me at WrestleMania. Congratulations, Oba. Well done. But that victory is gonna cost you more than you could ever imagine. Now, I've had my share of ass whoopings over the years, but none quite like that. It was humbling. You beat my ass at WrestleMania so bad, I said, that's it. I'm done. But that doesn't sit very well with me, Oba. It's not gonna end that way, Oba Femi. Brock Lesnar can take an ass whooping, but can you? You're gonna get your ass kicked by a humbled, retired beast. Brock Lesnar will conquer Oba Femi. I am gonna rule over Oba Femi.
For years, Brock Lesnar was the measuring stick of physical dominance in WWE. That is until WrestleMania 42, when Oba Femi did what many thought was impossible and defeated him. Now,
It's a very awkward silence. Please continue. And defeated him in 3, 2, 1. Kathy, go. What Kathy wanted to enlighten you all on is a very simple fact. There's no denying what Oba Femi did to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Oba Femi handed Brock Lesnar such a beating, Brock Lesnar retired. But now what? Because Brock Lesnar can't live with that ass-kicking nor that retirement. So Brock Lesnar's gonna do something about it. It was one night. It was one night. It was WrestleMania. It was Oba's night. But that's one night. Brock Lesnar's resume does not change. 25 years of dominance. The only beast in history to hold the NCAA, the UFC, and the WWE heavyweight championships. Tonight will be Brock Lesnar's night. Tonight will be the night that we see how Oba Femi will recover from a beating at the hands of the beast. It will be Suplex City. It will be an F5. And your winner tonight, Brock Lesnar.
well, that match, the biggest rematch in WWE history, coming up on the first hour of the show on ESPN.
Good reminder for everybody, Kathy Kelly, that will be coming your way. Clash in Italy as we continue here on the Countdown Show from just outside Amalfi Arena, where Corey Graves had to get to work. He's going to be broadcasting it. So our guest analyst, Turin, is the one and only WWE Women's World Champion, say hello to Liv Morgan.
Italy, tell everyone how much you love me!
How could they not?
How are things going, champ? All right, let's get into it, guys. We're going to talk about what we're going to see with Obafemi Brock Lesnar. We know what we saw just a few weeks ago as they continue singing to Liv Morgan here outside the arena in Turin. It was the shocking return on May 18th, hitting 4 F5s. I want your analysis here. How does that impact things for the rematch, what Lesnar was able to do hitting those F5s against Oba?
Can you say that again? I'm so sorry. I couldn't hear you over them singing to me!
All right, I'll start, okay? I'll get started. I think it
I
should...
really can't hear. They're so loud.
No, I know, Liv, they love you. We know. They really love you. They do. I have to be honest, guys. That return from Brock Lesnar at Raw was one of the most shocking returns we've seen in some time. I don't know about you, Liv, but I personally believe when we saw Brock at WrestleMania...
I thought he was done.
You thought he was done, right?
He was done.
Like, it was an absolute and complete surprise. I did not think we would see a second one. Do you think Brock Lesnar has a chance to beat Obafemi the second time around? She just wants to listen to this song.
Do you know what they're chanting?
Break it down.
Okay.
All right, so what
I
they're
think
chanting
that Brock's very mad. I
Yes,
think that
please.
Brock's very mad, and
Yes.
he wants to prove that he's still the sheriff in town. Oba came through and was like, there's a new sheriff in town, partner. And so Brock, he retired. He thought he was done, got his little booty beat, and now he's back and he's mad. And I think that Oba might be in for a little bit more than he's anticipating.
Can you show me the little new sheriffs in town again? I was never seen that before from you.
Sometimes when we are on this set together, we can be honest with each other. The fans don't have the greatest reaction to you sometimes in the United States, but we come here to Italy, like last year in Bologna, and they were just chanting Mona Leva.
Because I am the Italian princess!
All right, let's get into what we're going to see when it comes to somebody you're very familiar with. Rhea Ripley, the Eradicator, the WWE Women's
She looks
Champion.
good. She looks good.
She does look good. She's got the belt over her shoulder.
She doesn't look as good as me, but she looks good.
Of course, she has strong ties here to Italy.
My ties are stronger.
Her Nonna, her grandparents were from Northeast Italy, and they immigrated to Australia. So Rhea this week has been very forthright in saying how much it means to her has championship here in this country.
There was no holding my Nonna back. Like, it didn't matter how old she was, how beat up she was going to go in that garden, she was going to garden. You just couldn't stop her. So, like, I think one of the main things that I learned from her was, like, don't ever let age determine what you can do. And, like, if you feel confident and comfortable doing things, don't let anyone stop you from living your best life. Because she lived her best life. Like, she struggled to come to Australia from Italy with my Nonna, and he passed away really early on because he had Parkinson's. And then she was by herself. She had a couple neighbors that she came to Australia with that were like her friends, and she just kept everyone so happy. And I really wish I could go back and have a proper conversation with her and like just learn more about her life. Because I was so young, and I just and by the time
you don't know.
I don't know, and like by the time I left, that's when I was old enough to really understand, and I just wasn't home to see her enough. Like she was definitely one of those nonnas where like she's force feeding you everything, and she's like, "Oh, you look so good."
That is What's Your Story with Stephanie McMahon. A great conversation with Rhea Ripley. Of course, Rhea Ripley is going to be in action the first hour on ESPN, the WWE Women's Championship. Rhea Ripley against Jade Cargill, of course, live at WrestleMania 42. Rhea won the title, defeating Jade Cargill. How do you see things this time around?
You know, I think that despite my history, my long, messy history with Rhea, her and Jade are probably the two most impressively physical specimen women that we have in WWE. They're both super powerful, super strong. I don't know how tonight's gonna go. You know, Jade has Michin and B-Fab. Charlotte and Alexa seem to have maybe be aiding Rhea. I really have no idea. They're both, you know, doing fantastic. But you know what's interesting about both those ladies?
What's that?
Is I beat both of them. So they're great, but they're not as good as Liv Morgan.
I think the factor, and Liv mentioned it, she mentioned B-Fab, she mentioned Michin.
A lot of factors.
A lot of factors indeed. But I'm not sure we're going to see Alexa Bliss. We saw her taken out on SmackDown.
Jade
That's how the
viciously
move.
attacked Alexa Bliss, jaded her onto a steel chair on Friday night. So Rhea and Charlotte, everybody is just really bothered by what happened on Friday night, Peter.
100%. Now you have no idea what Bliss's status is after she ate that chair on Friday, but also this is yet again another.
Well wishes to Alexa.
This is again another WrestleMania level match. Obviously, because it's part 2, we saw part 1 at WrestleMania. But to know that we have at least 4 matches here that are absolutely WrestleMania level, to me, is one of the things that's incredible. I mean,
you've been on the other side.
Only the best for Clash in Italy.
You've been on the other side of how addictive it is to try to get that back. That's what Jade's feeling here, right? It is addictive to want to get gold back.
I'm sure she's gonna give Rhea her very best tonight. We just have to see if it's good enough.
Liv, we always get your very best.
Thank you.
And Torino loves you
You
here.
guys are kicking me off?
Liv Morgan, everybody. The WWE Women's World Champion. Well, there is the guy responsible for what many are saying is the best non-WrestleMania card they have ever seen on paper. Paul Triple H Levesque, the Chief Content Officer of WWE. He has put together a masterpiece here, including Tribal Combat. Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu set to battle today.
Tribal Combat!
The countdown to Clash in Italy continues from Turin. Don't go anywhere. the scene here in Italy, it continues to build with incredible anticipation as the sweltering heat that's taken over Europe this week continues on. Knocked out some top seeds of the French Open. We had the Champions League, but here the intensity in turn, they're not bothered by the heat. They've been out here, thousands of them have been out here for hours, and now they're expecting upwards of 16,000 inside the Analpi Arena right next to us. Many of them heading in right now just to get into their seats because we're under an hour to go to Clash in Italy. And the countdown to Clash in Italy is presented by Cricket Wireless. Get reliable nationwide 5G on the AT&T network. And for WWE fans back in the United States, you have to understand the growth to where this brand has gotten to in Europe. It is special. And they love their main man, Roman Reigns, the World Heavyweight Champion. Today he puts his title on the line, but equally as critical is the family leadership role, the Ulafala. He faces his cousin, Jacob Fatu, in Tribal Combat. And Italy is ready to strut. Oba Femi, one of the breakout stars at WrestleMania. Then a couple weeks ago, things changed. Brock Lesnar returns. Now, Oba Femi has to tame the beast again. And the storm is coming. Jade Cargill, you hear the cascade of boos behind us. She knows what it takes to win a championship, but can she retain it? She's been showing a lot of violence lately each and every time we see her in the ring. We had a great visit moments ago with Sol Ruca, and now you see that Sol Ruca has made her way backstage to get to the locker room. She's going to fight through a lot here. She goes for the IC title. And there is Gunther, ready for battle against Cody Rhodes. The last time Cody Rhodes came to Europe to defend his championship, he lost. Will Gunther soon become the undisputed WWE champion? That is going to be the very first match. That is in 57 minutes as these amazing fans are standing true behind our set here in the sweltering, sun-soaked Italian afternoon as we are here in Turin, Italy. Torino, home to Fiat and museums and fashion and food, and a former Olympic host city, and a city that gets very loud for its sports, and they have been very loud today. And they have a card in front of them, Big E, and we stressed this earlier. When you look through these premium live events, and then you look at this card, this feels like you're about to watch WrestleMania today.
Look, you know me, Brock and Oba 2 is worth the price of admission alone. Getting that match again, and I think the dynamic of that match is going to be so different. This is a Brock Lesnar who actually retired. He laid down his gloves and his boots and he said, I can't go out this way. I need me some get back.
I all week have been saying the match I think I'm most excited for is Oba and Brock. But up and down this card, and with respect to Becky Lynch and Sol Ruca, which will be tremendous as well, the other four are just such gigantic matches. Any other PLE, if we said Roman Jacob is main eventing, sounds legit. You say Cody Gunther's main eventing, sounds legit. Same with Oba and Brock, it's stacked.
There it is. There is the full 5-match card, and I agree with you. No matter where you turn on this premium live event, you see a main event. So, we're going to start things off with the Undisputed Championship, Cody Rhodes and Gunther. Remember, the first hour will be both on ESPN. Of course, the whole day is streaming on the ESPN app right through the dynamic post-show, and we have the best reporters in the business to bring it to you all from right here in Turin, Italy. The Clash in Italy being covered by Kathy Kelly and Byron Saxton. Kathy, we will start with you. Good afternoon.
Yeah, thanks so much, Joe. I'm honored to be one of the best reporters, as you put it. But let's talk about Oba Femi, because I feel like tonight at Clash in Italy, he views this as an opportunity to prove that WrestleMania 42 and his win over Brock Lesnar wasn't a fluke. Now, I think no one expected Brock Lesnar to come back to WWE after he left his gloves, left his boots in the middle of the ring after that humbling loss to Oba Femi. But I spoke to Paul Heyman a few moments ago, and he said that Brock just couldn't live with that loss to Oba, and he had to make things right and erase that memory of WrestleMania 42. Byron?
Thank you very much, Kathy. As we count down the moments, the minutes before Gunther and Cody Rhodes will kick off Clash in Italy for the undisputed WWE Championship, it's worth noting what's motivating the ring general. Now, certainly Gunther wants to choke out Cody Rhodes, as he said. He also wants to prove and remind everyone that he is the best pound-for-pound wrestler inside that ring. But there's something else driving Gunther, and that goes back to last year. Because the last time Gunther competed at a premium live event in a championship match, he lost. He lost the World Heavyweight Championship. So tonight is about redemption as well for Gunther. It's about avenging that championship loss from last year and turning tonight into a championship coronation.
Byron, you've been around for so many of Gunther's big moments, and when you look through the accolades of the ring general and you think about everything that has been added to his resume, and not just the fact that he has been strapped up with gold, but the longevity and the dominance when first an Intercontinental Champion, the longest ever reign, 666 days, and 2 times the World Heavyweight Championship. And then you look at what has happened recently and who he has done it against, Big E.
Goldberg, my favorite wrestler of all time, made him quit. That was it.
Oh yeah, and of course you may recall John Cena in Washington, D.C. chokes him out on his last night.
AJ Styles, another legend, career over.
And we saw Gunther right through WrestleMania 42 as he defeated Seth Rollins. And now Gunther going after the undisputed WWE Championship right here in less than an hour. A Clash in Italy. Wade Barrett recently sat down with the ring general.
Gunther, over the past 12 months, you have been on an incredibly dominant run. You've retired Goldberg, AJ Styles, and the greatest of all time, John Cena. How much pleasure do you take in being known as the career killer?
A lot.
A lot of people have found you incredibly disrespectful in the fact that you've gloated over ending those careers. Why have you chosen to do so?
To you, to everybody else in the back, to the WWE universe, someone like John Cena and Goldberg, they're heroes. They're not to me. It's some of the greatest days of my life, to stand in the middle of that and feel everybody carrying worry with them and carrying anxiousness with them. What's gonna happen tonight? And to be in the middle of all of that and being able to disrupt it all, what a feeling.
You recently moved over to SmackDown and almost immediately got yourself a contract to take on the WWE champ. Now, you have physically assaulted Cody on several occasions. You also appear to be playing some mind games with him. Why is that?
Our business is very different. And I don't like how Cody does it. I mean, I was in the Rumble, my first one, for at least an hour already. And he walks out very conveniently, and number 30 was Cody. He took it away. The year after, he took it away. In Saudi, he got one up over me. He's the only one in this company that can claim that. There's a score that needs to be settled. And when I had the chance, when the opportunity was there, I wanted to go after Cody and I wanted to shake his throne because he seemed very secure in that spot. So I want to take that away from him. And I'm gonna have my fun with it.
You say there is a score to settle because every time you've been in a ring with Cody, Cody has got the better of you. Now, ahead of your championship match, is there any self-doubt in the mind of the ring general?
No. Self-doubt is nothing I waste my time on.
How much of an advantage is being on your home continent for this match going to give you?
Well, my advantage starts with the bell rings. That's my mindset. I'm a better wrestler than Cody. But being in Europe, there's going to be a different atmosphere out there. I don't care if I walk out there and those fans cheer me or they support me. I'm not doing it for their recognition. Unlike Cody, he needs their attention a lot. He thrives on that. But in case they do support me and do not support Cody, Cody can't deal with it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, WWE fans are filing into the Inalpi Arena here in Turin, or Torino as the locals call it, Italy, for the first ever WWE PLE in Italy's history. Hey, everybody, ringside Michael Cole, Corey Graves. We will have the honor of sitting at those announce desks in less than an hour to be able to call all the action tonight in what should be an electric atmosphere. Sold out, over 12,000 WWE fans expected tonight. So let's talk about the match that's going to kick us off on ESPN at the top of the hour. It's for the WWE Undisputed Championship, Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. Now, Cody, Corey, owns a victory over Gunther at Crown Jewel a couple of years ago.
Gunther has not forgotten that fact. Gunther is eager to get his win back, as they say. The situation here is that Cody Rhodes is at his absolute best when he can channel his energy, his focus, his emotion, and channel it toward his opponent. Gunther, if he can be patient, has to wait for Cody to make a mistake, because if and when Cody does make a mistake, the ring general will capitalize and may leave Italy with the undisputed title.
I was going to ask you the strategy now for the ring general tonight.
Be patient. Cody's going to come out guns a-blazing. Cody's going to be feeding off of the WWE fans here in Italy. They are live, they are loud. That's when Cody's at his best. But Gunther has built himself into the perfect professional wrestling machine. Gunther rarely, if ever, makes mistakes. If he's patient, he can beat Cody.
Now, you mentioned earlier focus for Cody Rhodes. Will he be completely focused tonight? He's had some issues the past few weeks with a man he was called friend in Sami Zayn. Is that going to be on his mind tonight?
Cody cannot allow Sami Zayn to become an issue. Cody has to compartmentalize whatever issues he has with Sami Zayn for tonight and focus on the task at hand. Because if Cody thinks he's looking past Gunther, he's got another thing coming.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, the match that will kick things off at the top of the hour on ESPN. Cody Rhodes versus Gunther for the WWE Undisputed Championship. Still to come tonight on the Countdown Show. Gunther, Cody Rhodes for the championship. The interview with Wade Barrett will continue later on tonight. Also, perhaps the biggest rematch in the history of WWE. Oba Femi, who shocked the world against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, hopes to do the same here tonight. Brock Lesnar, who was retired, claims he's back to humiliate Oba Femi, seeking revenge. WWE superstars are all over Italy, including here in the Inalpi Arena. Javon Evans from Monday Night Raw. Remember, Monday Night Raw will be here live tomorrow night in Turin, Italy. We'll be back with more of the Countdown Show in just a bit.
This is going to be, I think this is going to be a little bit different. Man, Oba is a beast himself.
Yes.
He's got all the momentum.
Yeah.
But a motivated Brock is going to be hard to deal with.
That's terrifying.
And I mean, that's the kind of stuff this is exciting, man, to think about a guy coming up and the guy that's held that spot for so long.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good.
And it's not like Brock slows down.
I don't think that he slipped in any. I mean, he's not at that point yet where he's a parody of himself. I mean, he is still at the top of his game.
Yes.
So I think somebody like Oba that comes along, who's bigger than he is and is on the rise, is going to motivate Brock.
He's hungry.
He's got that big fight feel, doesn't it?
Yes, he does. I think Brock has something to prove, and I think if he's going to prove something, he's going to toy with them.
Yeah. Could very well be.
Yeah.
True.
But man, if Oba goes 2-0, watch out, bro. I don't know there's anybody on that roster that will be able to deal with Oba moving forward.
No.
Take that one to the bank.
Well, when Taker and Ray, two Hall of Famers, are saying that, look no further. Something special is coming your way. Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar later today. This is the scene and the line of fans set to come into Analpi Arena here for Clash in Italy. Thousands upon thousands. It is a sellout. This is the middle of the European Summer Tour. We will be here again for Raw in Turin, and then France and Portugal and Spain. This after we just had SmackDown in Barcelona. It is an incredible scene. And this card alone, that of course begins at 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and all day long streaming on the ESPN app, also includes the WWE Women's Championship match. They fought at WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley was able to get gold back. Jade Cargill has been so violent in recent weeks, and now these two phenoms meet again, and it is in the first hour live on ESPN, Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill.
The Eradicator, Rhea Ripley, looking for a 4th World Championship in a match against the WWE Champion, the Storm, Jade Cargill. WWE title.
Welcome to Friday Night Mommy.
I'll go be the champion at SmackDown.
Pressure bust pipes.
Oh, hold up. Jade Cargill is here.
That's meat in a beef up.
Rhea Ripley found that out.
Big pump kick.
In that clash in Italy, I bust champions too. I'm never gonna run.
Every single week you come out here trying to throw around your dominance. The detail that you continue to forget is that when it's just you and me, I am going to fight.
I am Jade Cargill. I am one of one.
Cargill has pinned the WWE Champion.
When the match is done, you will be looking up at your true champion.
So pleased to have with us inside Analpi Arena our next live guest analyst, Javon Evans, another guy that when you talk about the young rising stars breaking out this year, he is here. First trip to Italy?
Of course it is, man. I ain't never been here before, but this is tough though. This is great. I'm having a great time, and I'm gonna come back. You feel me? But this is fire. This is fire.
Bouncy is here in Italy. Let's get right to it. We just heard from Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill, the Women's Championship.
Yo.
How do you see this match, Javon?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Okay, Rhea, she's a dog. You know what I mean? She get down in the ring. She know what she's doing. But Jade, she an animal. All right, that's like two beasts going together, you know. But honestly, if I had to pick somebody, I think I'm about to go with Rhea. Come on now, she know what she's doing.
She definitely does.
Come on.
First of all, I'm honored to be standing next to one of the most electrifying superstars in all of professional wrestling.
Stop it.
Yeah, you know you got it. But I have to say, look. Rhea talked about the fact that when it's just you and me, I have the upper hand. But I think tonight is not going to be just about Jade and Rhea. We've seen Michin and BFAB, and I think that has been one of Jade's best decisions, is aligning herself with her former enemies. We see a very well-oiled machine with those three women. And look, we got to see what they did at Saturday night's main event. They pulled out an incredible win. We also got to see Alexa Bliss taken out. I don't know. I think those three, I think Michin and BFAB are definitely going to play a big factor in here tonight. And that really might decide who comes out as the winner here.
That is true. You do gotta think about like all the factors and all the odds. But if anybody can go through that, it's Rhea for sure. You know what I mean? That's what I think though.
Javon, recently we've seen you break through to this level, being on premium live events. You know what it's all about. When you look at the rest of this card beyond Rhea and Jade, what gets you really excited, Javon?
Man, I don't know. I think, honestly, I'm going to have to go with Roman and Jacob. That's family. You know what I mean?
It's going to be a good one.
It's
Tribal
gonna be
Combat.
A great one.
It'll be coming your way. But, of course, Cody Rhodes and Gunther will lead things off. We are closing into that. And there is the American Nightmare. There is Cody Rhodes closing in on his title defense. And here is the second part of our conversation with Cody.
Time to have the conversation about Gunther. That is right in front of you. Over the course of the past year, he has now taken on a moniker that has been earned as the guy who kills careers, sends stars off into retirement.
Yeah.
What makes this version of Gunther so dangerous?
Not to flip a question on you, but do you consider that something that makes him dangerous? Because beating the greatest of all time, John Cena, on paper, you'd say that makes you dangerous, but I felt like he got John Cena in the winner of his career. AJ Styles. Who's better than AJ Styles? But again, at the end, I beat AJ Styles. I beat John Cena. I'm not gonna look at Gunther with fear because he ended careers at the end of those careers. I'm not looking at him with fear. I'll look at Gunther with fear because Gunther is the best version of himself that he's ever been. He's a wrestler's wrestler. He is every wrestler's favorite. But we have history. And sometimes you got somebody's number. And I think his outlook on me has been that I have his number. So any fear I have of Gunther is because of the wrestler that he is and not of the careers that he's killed. I'm not gonna be on that list. I'm not there yet. And I think maybe that's the thing that bothers him the most. It's fun picking off legends. That's gotta be fun. But that's also like wrestling outside of your weight class. That's a novelty. This is a prize fight. And I think it's the first one he's had in a while.
Strategically, how do you accomplish what so few have done, especially at the championship level with Gunther, when he fights for gold? How do you simply defeat him?
I think the strategy when you wrestle a bear like Gunther is the same strategy you'd have if you were fighting him backstage or if you were in an alley fighting him or in a bar fighting him. It's avoid the chop and keeping him moving. Because the longer it goes and the deeper water that we get into, the less he has in the tank. And he's not gonna tell you that. I'm gonna tell you.
Do you see that in his eyes? Do you hear that in his breath when you take Gunther to deep water?
What I see in Gunther's eyes is the most intimidating look I have seen in quite some time. Gunther knows something about me, or at least Gunther has surmised something about me, that I'm getting tired, that I am wearing thin. The whole world is of that same thought. So as much as it's a look of conviction and a look that can intimidate, if anything, it motivates. It does. Because I'm not done yet. Man, I think I need to beat Gunther more than Gunther needs to beat me. And that's a good place to be going into Italy.
Javon, you have been in against both men. You were in there at Elimination Chamber with Cody Rhodes when Cody was seeking redemption, trying to get back to this position. And you've been in there one-on-one against the ring general Gunther. Considering your experience, who do you think has the advantage today with what we're about to see for the WWE Championship?
Honestly, I think I'm gonna have to go with Gunther. You know, like you said, I've been in the ring with Gunther one-on-one. You feel me? And I've been in the ring with him in a triple threat match too. You know, I know he's capable of, and I know once he gets in that mode, it's hard for him to get out that mode.
How dangerous does it feel when you're in with a guy like Gunther?
Oh, you don't know what to expect because he's good at his craft. You know, he does this for a living. You know, so I don't know, right? It gets me nervous thinking about it. You feel me?
You know what I think is interesting is we talk about the 4 men who have beaten Gunther by pinfall or submission, but that was when Gunther was champion. I'm not sure we've seen Gunther lose coming in as a contender. This level of hunger, his eye being on the prize, I would not bet against Gunther here tonight.
It's something different when you're chasing the gold as you come in with what he's looking for. Obviously, a stage of your career where you're doing that now on the big roster.
For sure. Once you're chasing gold, it's like you're a whole different animal. You're a different breed. You know what I mean? You got a goal that you're trying to accomplish.
Javon Evans, thank you. Hope
Appreciate
you enjoy
you.
your first visit to Italy.
I did. This is great. This is so. Got to come back.
That is Bouncy right here in Italy. Much more to come on our countdown to Clash in Italy, including a closer look at Tribal Combat as we continue to work our way. We are now just a half an hour away from Cody Rhodes and Gunther. It'll be in the first hour. That is on ESPN. Of course, the whole day on the ESPN. Clash in Italy in front of this roaring crowd in Turin.
As WWE makes history this weekend with its first ever premium live event from Italy, we honor an Italian icon, a man whose strength and spirit built the foundation of WWE.
Bruno Sammartino.
Born in Pizzoferrato, Italy in 1935, Bruno's first fights were not inside a ring. During World War II, his family hid in the mountains to escape Nazi forces.
To survive, my mom would make that climb down that mountain. It would take 2 days, and she would take as much as she could, potato a week. I credit my mom for having kept me alive. And my biggest ambition was that I wanted my mom to be so proud.
After the war, Bruno came to America and settled in Pittsburgh, rebuilding himself from a frail survivor into one of the strongest men in the world.
Within 8 years, by 1958, I was 275 pounds. I set a world record. I did 565 pounds on the bench.
Once Vince McMahon Sr. saw Bruno's potential, a legendary career was set in motion. On May 17th, 1963, in Madison Square Garden, Bruno defeated Nature Boy Buddy Rogers in 48 seconds to become WWE Champion. He reigned for 2,803 days, the longest world title reign in WWE history, carrying the championship and the hopes of the people.
Bruno Sammartino was the greatest champion in the history of sports entertainment.
I always wanted to be like Bruno Sammartino. The impression that he had on me, that the way he carried himself as a man.
In 2013, Bruno returned home to WWE, taking his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Please welcome the great Bruno Sammartino.
Is there any bigger symbol of the American dream than Bruno Sammartino? I don't think so.
The living legend, Bruno Sammartino, forever one of the greatest of all time.
Well said by Michael Cole. And listen, I don't care if you're a musician, I don't care if you're an athlete, selling out Madison Square Garden, all-time consecutive sellout record speaks volumes. And when people have the Mount Rushmore conversation, this is where I struggle with recency bias. Yep. Because Bruno Sammartino, for so many that truly know the scope of this industry over decades, it's a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, and if you're of any different background, you have a family member, a grandparent who grew up watching Bruno Sammartino. That was my grandfather. That was your family, Joe.
Yes,
just an absolute icon.
Let's check in with Kathy Kelly backstage here in Turin.
I am here with Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque, and it is great to be back overseas. I feel like every time we come here, they have the most passionate fans, an absolutely stacked card tonight, from Tribal Combat to multiple championships being on the line. What do you think this says about the state of WWE right now?
I think it says it's firing on all cylinders. You know, you look at this card tonight, it is a WrestleMania-worthy card. Tribal Combat, Roman and Jacob, Brock Lesnar coming out of what seemed like his retirement to go in what could be the biggest rematch of all time, as Paul Heyman said, against Obafemi. Saul and Becky. This card is across, from top to bottom, stacked. Cody Gunther, Rhea and Jade. It's just huge.
Yeah, and as you know, I feel like some of the biggest moments come from those matches that have unpredictable outcomes. You don't know who the winner is going to be. And I feel like all 5 of those matches tonight have the possibility of that. So which one do you think has the greatest potential of changing the landscape of WWE?
Well, that's interesting. I think if Jacob Fatu goes over in Tribal Combat, if he wins Tribal Combat, just by the nature of that, Roman Reigns having to acknowledge Jacob Fatu, the Usos having to acknowledge Jacob Fatu as sort of the leader and the person that they're running behind with the chaos that he believes in, it changes the entire landscape of WWE. Then again, Gunther becoming WWE champion against Cody Rhodes, which, if you look at his track record recently, you know, John Cena, AJ Styles, you know, Goldberg, all of those retirements, he could be the favorite going into this. So all those moments, I think top to bottom have an opportunity tonight to change the landscape of WWE as we know it.
Imagine seeing the ones for Jacob.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Jacobs will use the same finger. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, again, that changes the landscape because the mentality is completely different. Roman Reigns is a measured, sort of smart, calculating champion. Jacob would not be quite so much. Jacob, I think, would run headfirst into most obstacles, but with an army behind him, that's an interesting concept.
Well, very excited for tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you very much.
And of course, everybody here very appreciative of the work that Triple H has done to put together this masterpiece of a card. This was Roman Reigns locking in moments ago, focusing in on what could be really a signature moment in his career, in a career that has so many high water marks. But then you consider that this is family. This isn't just the World Heavyweight Championship. This is tribal combat, to be the tribal chief, the head of their family that they take such great pride in as he goes up against his cousin. Which leads me, Biggie, to this conversation. Roman Reigns was recently quoted as saying, "Little cousin, in our family, we're equals. We're the same blood. But in that ring, we are not. You're beneath me."
Look, Roman's career here in WWE kind of backs that up. When you look at their ability, I would say that that's a bit of a farce. But Roman has really built a legacy that is untouchable here in WWE, and Jacob Fatu is trying to take that. He is trying to take everything that Roman has built. What I find interesting, too, is that shot of Roman. We don't see a contemplative Roman Reigns that often. We really see someone with a lot of braggadocio. It's fascinating. I think he understands the weight and the gravity of this moment here.
I agree with you, and as much as I agree with your sentiment, E, that Roman Reigns absolutely is on a different level, and it's kind of justified to say that to almost anyone, save Jacob Fatu, it doesn't change the fact that you and I were on a very contentious post-show after Backlash because Roman Reigns needed some underhanded methods to get past Jacob Fatu the first time. We can't forget he uncovered that turnbuckle, Joe Tess.
Yeah, that was May 9th at Backlash when Roman Reigns was able to retain and defeated Jacob Fatu. But we know what happened afterwards. The attacks, the relentless attacks, and utilizing the Tongan death grip. And in their family, the arsenal of weapons that so many in the Anoa'i family, the Samoans, carry, the Tongan death grip elevates things to a whole different level.
Well, Haku is one of the most feared superstars in the history of our industry, and that was a weapon that he utilized throughout his career. The fact that Jacob Fatu is taking that off the shelf, dusting it off, and saying, I'm going to use this not just against anyone here in WWE, but against my own family, against the breadwinner, the man who is probably responsible for Jacob being here, tells you a lot.
But maybe, just maybe, the fact that Roman has now felt it a couple of times gives him a different level of confidence going into this match, knowing that at least he survived it and lived to see another day.
We are only 20 minutes away now to the beginning of Clash in Italy. Thousands and thousands outside this arena have now come inside in the midst of this European tour. It's an outrageous scene, and we have much more to come here as we push towards the Clash in Italy, the countdown, including the latest backstage right now on Gunther and Cody as they prepare at the top of the hour to fight for the Undisputed Championship. And then they're calling it the greatest rematch of all time. Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar. And listen to the reaction that gets here in Italy. Much more to come. Clash in Italy coming your way. Top of the hour right here on ESPN. Don't go anywhere. The singing, the chants. With just 15 minutes to go, they are already roaring with excitement here in Turin, Italy. We are closing in on the clash in Italy, and there is such buzz for what everybody is calling the greatest rematch in history. The two giants, the monsters, the behemoths of Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar after Lesnar's shocking return after seemingly being retired.
At the showcase of the Immortals, the heavens opened, the earth shook, and the impossible became prophecy. As the ruler ascended the mountaintop, an age of conquest faded into legend. With the beast cast down, the bringer of war summoned all who dared challenge his throne.
The Oba Femi Open Challenge will commence!
They answered his call and found only ruin. His rule nearly absolute, but all were deceived. Titans do not fade quietly. They wait. They watch.
It's not gonna end that way.
And so, the die is cast.
Last time, I was fighting to beat him. This time, I'm fighting to kill him.
Fate draws its line in the sand.
I am gonna rule over Oba Femi.
In the land where gladiators battle, the vendetta begins.
It'll be fascinating to see what we are discussing on the Clash in Italy post-show as to the outcome of that match. By the way, I want to mention this on the post-show coming up later tonight, right here on ESPN, streaming on the app. We will reveal the brackets for the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. That reveal of the brackets happens tonight on the post-show from right here in Italy. Of course, the winners there will have title matches at SummerSlam, 2 nights at US Bank Stadium in Minnesota, and tickets are available for that right now. All right, let's get into what we just heard between Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar. Oba saying the last time I was fighting to beat him. Big E saying this time I'm fighting to kill him.
Those words stuck with me.
You don't hear them every day.
You don't hear them often. That's a level of intensity from Oba Femi. A relative newcomer on the main roster to not wilt under the pressure of Brock Lesnar. Imagine if this man is able to retire Brock Lesnar, even briefly, to have Brock come back. What does it mean if Oba Femi does it again here tonight?
Clearly, if Oba Femi were able to knock off Brock Lesnar for a second straight time, it seems like the only path is onto World Championship. There's nowhere else to go. And then the fascinating part about this is, of course, Brock Lesnar. Joe, I believed it was over. And for some reason...
The whole world did, Peter.
No, I know, but think about it in retrospect. Why? Because Paul Heyman shed tears? The ultimate joker. The guy who can always play that wild card, and you know he's capable of it, but we fell for it hook, line, and sinker because the moment felt so big at WrestleMania.
But here's the thing. I don't think it was some ruse or some
I
plan that
agree.
was
I don't
laid
think we
out.
fell for anything. I think it's just what happened in recent weeks.
Absolutely. And Brock talked about it in the moment of feeling like it was time to wrap it up. But then going home, having some time to process and understand, I can't go out like this. Man, this is, Obafemi has never had a test like this. I know the match at WrestleMania was big for him, but things have been easy for Oba so far. And I think even when you're standing against the toughest of challenges, when things are easy, you feel like it's all gravy. You don't have to put that extra work in. Now we're going to have to see, how does Oba collect himself? How does he re-strategize? And how does he do it again?
And Tess, could anything be harder in this business than beating Brock Lesnar twice in a row?
He did it in 4 minutes and 46 seconds at WrestleMania 42 against Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, who generationally is viewed as the best combat sport when you think of NCAA Championship Wrestling, when you think of UFC Heavyweight Championship, and WWE rolled into one. There is nobody who compares generationally in combat sports to Brock Lesnar. He did it in 4 minutes and 46 seconds in Vegas.
Look, I've been a big Obafemi fan for a while, but I did not expect it to go down like that. If he can replicate that performance here tonight, he automatically, like you said, I think he goes straight to the World Championship.
How much does the 4 F5s the other day play a role there mentally?
I think absolutely that has to be in Obafemi's head tonight. He has now felt exactly what Brock Lesnar is capable of.
Listen to this place. Look around this place. We are here in Torino, Italy, and they are roaring because now we are under 10 minutes away to one of the most anticipated global events that WWE has ever hosted. And it will begin right here on ESPN with the undisputed WWE Championship. And Cody Rhodes is going to wear the same exact gold mask out for his ring entrance that he wore at WrestleMania, because he says, I want the battle scars of what he had to endure there. He's got guerra as the caption, Italian word for war. It is coming up against Gunther in moments. Cody Rhodes against Gunther. And there is the challenger. And it's not just any challenger. It's a 2-time world heavyweight champion. It is Gunther, the career killer. Kathy.
I mean, you said it best. He is not just any challenger. Gunther is approaching this undisputed championship opportunity with complete conviction. Last night, he went hard on Cody Rhodes on SmackDown, saying that he is not the self-made hero that he proclaims to be, but rather his entire career has been one phone call away from success. You know, it's getting loud in here, but last night Gunther also said that his entire career has been based off of hard work and discipline, while Cody's has been a path just paved with privilege. We will see who comes out on top, but let's send it back to the panel.
Kathy, I don't know how you're even hearing yourself speak here with this crowd here in Italy. You're used to hearing this when it comes to like World Cup soccer or Euro Cup with these Italian fans, but this has now been constant, the way they react to this brand and this product, as they are giving a standing ovation for the local Italian broadcasters who are making their way to the ring. They are so excited to host this mega event here in Torino. All right, let's get to Cody Rhodes and Gunther now, Big E, and the strategy that takes place. Cody looked Gunther in the face when we were in Barcelona 2 nights ago, and perhaps it's the first salvo of a mental shot, but he said, you're just not that good.
I don't know if Cody believes that. I don't know if anyone in this building believes that. And look, all due respect to Deontay Wilder, but when I see that mask, he better not pull any shenanigans talking about the mask being the reason that I was weighed down. He has a very stiff test in Gunther here tonight.
Let's get an update right before this championship match. Here's Byron Saxton. Sax.
Hey guys, listen, we can't guarantee what's going to happen between Cody Rhodes and Gunther tonight, but we can make one safe assumption pre-match, and that's when Cody Rhodes stands in the middle of that ring, he's most likely going to get serenaded by this crowd here in Turin. I can also safely assume right now, because I saw it with my own eyes, that right now Cody Rhodes is warming up backstage, going through his last-minute bodyweight squats, getting ready for this match, and it was during that warm-up that I approached him about 15 minutes ago, and I said, Cody, how are you feeling tonight? He looked at me, gave me a half smile, and said, I'm ready to go.
And keep in mind, it was only last month that he was ready to go and sustained serious orbital damage. There he is. There is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Keep in mind, Peter, the last time Cody Rhodes came to Europe to fight a major championship match, he lost.
That is on his mind, Joe. I promise you that. And also this, the fact that everybody's talking about Oba Brock. People are excited about Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. Cody Rhodes is QB1. He believes everyone should be talking about Cody's match every single time. He's constantly with a chip on his shoulder, and that's why he's one of the best.
Want to remind you, you can stay on ESPN to watch the first hour. The whole day is going to be streaming on the ESPN app. We strongly encourage you to go to the ESPN app, and then we'll have the post show throughout. It is the undisputed WWE Championship just now 1 minute away. The setting is unique. We're here in Italy, in a city known for its royalty, known for its refinement, its art, its culture. And yet, this is a wrestling fan's wrestling card. A perfect fit. Don't let the Dolce Vita fool you. This is passion. This is joy here in Italy. Today, they get just that. It is Clash in Italy, and it comes your way from Torino right now.
Battered, half-conscious, bloodied, I still made the decision to walk up the long ramp at Allegiant Stadium because I feel it's the job of the WWE Champion to show up, to be available. I always get back up.
Oh, God!
What? Gunther!
What on earth?
And attacks with the sleeper again.
Gunther has a new target, and it's the WWE Champ.
The fight with Gunther will be at Clash in Italy. You'll have to get his signature all by yourself.
Gunther, please come to this ring, sign this contract so that you're guaranteed to get your ass kicked at Clash in Italy.
You're the perfect symbol of the crumbling American dream. Egotism and narcissism and nepotism makes you a little entitled brat.
I'm gonna tell you something, and it's simple. You're just not that good.
I promised Bill Goldberg that I would choke him out, and I did. I promised AJ Styles that I would choke him out, and I did. And I promised John Cena that I would make him tap out, and I did. And now I'm promising you I'm gonna choke you out. I'm gonna drop you. I'm gonna take this precious prize with me.